conditions that students are now being asked to navigate. Please welcome Miles from OPSU.
I'm so honored to be here. My name is Milos Vasquez. I am a sociology prof at Humber Polytechnic, and I'm president of the Humber Faculty Union associated with OPSU. So you might know, Humber is very much alma mater. Oh shit, no! He never finished! Thank you, there's a sign over there reminding me that. Anyway, I don't want to take up too much time, but I do want to bring up something that hasn't yet been talked about so far in this round. Kind of broader context that we can kind of see what is happening with that. And that is the skills development fund scandal. We have known for a long time that this issue is being defunded. What we discovered last fall was that for every dollar that is being siphoned away from colleges and universities, that dollar is going right back into the pockets of both cronies and his insiders. Watered down version of college programs. Is down the road at George Brown Polytechnic. I don't know if you know, but at George Brown, they've got a pretty good culinary program. It's world renowned, but that program is being cut. Scale hospitality group is getting public funds to deliver a tenth of what students were learning at George Brown.
Anybody?
So how do we understand the OSAP changes within the frame of the skills development fund, of this corruption? Think about it this way. The debt of tomorrow is fueling the corruption of today. It is allowing them to put money into their pockets because they know one day your resources, your happiness, your money will fund them. Before the last election, Doug Ford, he cut every one in this province $100 check. You remember that? Do you remember how much that cost all of us? $3 billion. I think that's less than what he said was the deficit from off OSAP. Choices, but they are saying that they are facing constraints. So we are well beyond shame, my friends. Hey, not only down with this government, it is time for all of us to call bullshit. Bullshit to OSAP change. Because without these OSAP changes, he couldn't have accelerated the solidarity that we're seeing today. I am so proud to be a part of this goddamn government.
This is a clear example of how we are seeing austerity show up in people's daily lives, in overcrowded classrooms, in under-resourced campuses, in strained public services. Change! That is why this fight must remain grounded in lived reality, solidarity, and collective resistance. This government has has made it clear that they are anti-student, anti-worker, anti-people. As they're inside right now making decisions about our future, we are hearing their power cannot compare to our power. Their power cannot compare to student power, cannot compare to worker power, cannot compare to people power.
Across the board, we have heard opposition parties that have created decisive campaigns against Ford's attacks on the education system. Our next speaker is the official leader of opposition. As students, as community members, we are here to demand accountability from every single decision maker, because no party should be comfortable while students are being pushed deeper into debt and out of education. Our goal is to keep the pressure up. So as we hear from an elected official, we do so with clarity. Students expect concrete action, not just a statement. Please welcome Merritt's leader of the Ontario NDP.
Welcome to your house. First of all, I want to thank the Canadian Federation of Students Ontario. You belong here. You belong here on the lawn of Queen's Park. You belong there in the Legislative Assembly. This is your house, and you are welcome here. Now I want to tell you this. First of all, I want to point out I am joined all throughout this crowd and behind me by members of the official opposition, the NDP caucus, and we are standing in This fight is personal for me, okay? I'm a parent of two daughters, young adults. One of them is still at university, and yes, she is studying fiber arts. But look, the other thing I want to tell you is that I came to this province from Newfoundland because I was seeking undergraduate studies. I knew I could build a better future for me and my family here. I want to tell you this, over the last few weeks I have been out there, I have been talking to you, I have been listening to students from all across this province, and I hear what you're saying. You are absolutely clear. You do not want to live with a lifetime of debt. We cannot afford Doug Ford and his OSAP cuts, right? Cycle. Rent is through the roof. The cost of food is through the roof. And so many of you, high school students, how are you? How are you here? Are you here? And I hear that you're looking at those offers and you're turning them down. That is life in Doug Ford, Ontario right now. But that's right. We're also out there listening to families, to parents, and they're angry too, right? They're angry too, and they're going to make sure that Doug Ford feels their rage as well, right? What I wanted to say to you is this government and these cuts to OSAP, this is a choice. This is a choice that this government is making, right? You know what? Maybe you can find OSAP. Building some fantasy island for a convention center. Fund He should be afraid because guess what? Your solidarity, yesterday, when the legislature came back into session after that 102-day break, to show up here again. We, the NDP official opposition, we brought forward a motion immediately and we demanded a vote to put back to restore OSAP. He voted it down. Tomorrow, we're going to do one better. We're going to bring another motion forward, and we're going to demand a debate. And we are going to force the government to debate us. And then we are going to debate and then vote on a motion to reverse the cuts to OSAP. And that's going to happen. Okay, government, and I know I look around at all of you, and the fact that you are here today means that you have hope, right? It's a beautiful thing, but hope is radical, too. And we know that government can do better because it is about choices. It is about choices. Their cuts to OSAP, but we're going to do one better. We're going to demand that they eliminate the interest on any loans going forward. In the meantime, what are we going to do? We're going to keep on living. We're going to mobilize. And yes, if you must, you are going to... I want you to go out there and I want you to keep organizing. I want you to talk to all the students that are out there. I want you to show everybody that you are showing up to fight the OSAP cuts and they need to too. We're going to make calls. We're going to fill their inboxes. We're going to go out to every single conservative MPP's office and we are going to demand that when our motion hits the floor next week, that they are there to debate it and that they vote to support it, right? I want to feel your power and your rage. Let's get it done. What do we do when our future is under attack?
We'll continue to organize, regardless of who is in power, because real change has never come from political will alone. It has always come from students, pressure from workers, pressure from communities to ensure that we, the people, are seeing an agenda that puts people over profit. And that pressure is exactly what students have the power to influence decision makers. And it's through our collective struggle that we can make these changes happen. We know that when political parties, they rely on us as students. The government and the MPPs work for us, not the other way around. united front against the Ford government. Speaker represents one of the largest unions in this country, with workers across healthcare, education, social services, and beyond. CUPE Ontario represents over 300,000 workers who keep this province running. And what they are experiencing is the same pattern we have been consistently naming: chronic underfunding, increased workload, and the rapid erosion of public services. When governments choose to invest in private interests instead of public systems, we see workers, we see communities who pay the price. Please join me in welcoming Yolanda from CUPE Ontario.
Thank you, so proud to be here representing over 300,000 members from CUPE. We are here today because something is bigger than just OSAP and happening in this Ontario that we live in. But yes, OSAP, it does matter. And right now, we all know it's being gutted. That is no surprise. But I'm going to bring some bad news. Grants are being slashed from 85% down to 25%. One thing, more debt, more pressure for families, and fewer people able to afford college or university at all. Disappears, access disappears with them. But let's be honest, this doesn't affect everyone equally. It deepens inequality. It widens the gap between those who can afford education and, of course, those who can't. And we know that that gap follows lines of class, race, and opportunity. Mind you, it's not just OSAP. This is about a system that has been underfunded for too many years. I'll tell you, they're investing billions in post-secondary education, but that's not new money, that's a lie! They're taking money away from students and repackaging it as a funding for our institutions. They're shifting the burden from government to students, and they're calling it, I don't know, progress. They're ending tuition freeze. This allows costs to creep back up, and for years before that, they let funding just go stagnant. What did that do? It pushed colleges and universities into a corner. Schools became dependent on international students, charging them higher and higher fees just to keep the system running. Oh, that is worse. International students, that model now is collapsing too. So where does that leave us? Where does that leave us? Out in the cold. Where does it leave us? Even when the fighting they're promising, we're still billions of dollars below where we were in 2018. When you account for inflation. After years of cuts and neglect, our schools were worse off today than they've ever been. It's not just about one policy. It's about chronic underfunding. It's about shifting costs onto the students. It's about deciding who gets access to education and who suffers. And that is an equity issue. If this government thinks you'll accept status quo, they don't know what they're looking at now. Because you hope. You are organized. You are all your leadership in the solidarity encampments. You refuse to be complicit. You organized and you built community and you demanded justice. And let me tell you, all of labor saw you. In you, because occupying space, disrupting business as usual, refusing to back down, that is the heartbeat of our labor movement. Just like workers, they hold their feet to the picket line. You all hold your campuses. You led the change. And this fight for OSAP, this fight for the future of education is definitely the same struggle. And just like before, labor will stand shoulder to shoulder to shoulder with you. Because education is one of the most powerful tools we have to build a fair society. It creates opportunity, it drives innovation, and it shapes our future. And when you make it harder to access, you weaken all of us. So we're here to tell you, enough is enough! Enough excuses! Enough policies that leave our students behind! We demand a system that is properly funded! I'm not sure about these barricades, but I think we got something in mind. Over. It's just begun. Who gets the chances for tomorrow? So we are not backing down. I want you to stay with me. What's the one thing in your head? The one thing in your head. What do we want?
Speaker, coming from all the way from Newfoundland to remind us that this is a collective struggle, that the student movement doesn't stop here, but it goes from coast to coast. Please join me in welcoming the Newfoundland Chair, Nicholas.
How are we feeling? I am honored to have the opportunity to join you here today from Macdumgook, the island colonially known as Newfoundland, to stand in firm solidarity and show Doug Ford that students are united and that we will win an accessible post-secondary education system for everyone. My name is Nicholas. I serve as the chair for CFSNL, representing all students attending public post-secondary institutions in Newfoundland and Labrador. That is over 25,000 students who are 100% united. On behalf of CFSNL and its 25,000 plus members, and unequivocally say, we stand with you. For decades, student rights have been under attack across so-called Canada. In the 90s, the Newfoundland and Labrador government tried to cut funding and raise tuition. But students rallied together and we won. And we saw a repeat attempt in 2021, where government lifted the 23-year tuition freeze we fought so hard for. Students rallied together. And when our government at the time ignored us, wouldn't meet with us, and would not change their ways, we voted their asses out. And this year, in January, we were able to restore the tuition freeze. And this is true coast to coast, because right now, when the Ford government is passing legislature like Bill 33, OSAP, tuition, students are rallying together and we will win again. We will not allow the attacks to post-secondary education in Ontario to continue. allow this to become the leading example for post-secondary education in this country. The pushback that you're receiving from the Ford government reveals something important, that Doug Ford is scared of you. He is scared of this. He is scared of students, workers, and community members coming together because it is a threat to him and it is a threat to his attack on post-secondary education. He knows that if we come together and we organize and we fight, that we will always win. There is nothing scarier to Doug Ford than a society where everyone can have access to education in community with each other. Because that is a society that can and will take him down. I am proud to continue to advocate alongside of you all the way from Newfoundland and Labrador, making it abundantly clear that students from coast to coast are united, and that when we are united, we will never be defeated. I am excited to celebrate with you when we win. And until then, I am prepared to fight alongside you and show Doug Ford exactly what the fuck happens when you attack students in this province. What do we want?
Reminder that what we are facing isn't just an issue in Ontario, but a national pattern. We see different governments, but ultimately, they continue making the same exact decisions, which continue to make sure students are suffering. Shame! And that is exactly why solidarity matters. Because when we recognize that these struggles are shared amongst all of us, whether we're in different provinces, whether we're students, workers, community members, we also recognize that our power is also collective, and it extends far beyond any campus or province.
The attacks that we are seeing in post-secondary education are part of a broader pattern across the entire education system. From elementary schools to high schools to universities and colleges, chronic underfunding, larger class sizes, and increasing strain on workers. These are conditions that we are seeing at all levels of education. Our next speaker is going to be the OSAP, who represents over 60,000 education workers in this province. People who are shaping students long before they even arrive to our universities and colleges. Please join me in welcoming Chris from the OSAP.
Thank you, comrades, brothers and sisters. Can I get a round of applause for these dudes on the drum? I want to say on behalf of all the music teachers in the province of Ontario, thank you to these folks for giving us the rhythm and the beat here today. Before I start, I want to honor the strength that you have brought here today. I want everyone in this crowd to turn to somebody that they do not know, they did not come with, shake their hand and say thank you for coming here today in solidarity. One person at a time, that's how we're going to build this movement. My name is Chris Chandler, and I'm proud today to join as an executive officer with the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, representing 60,000 teachers and education workers across this province. shout out to my brother and comrade, Colin National Vice President of OSAP, who couldn't be here today as well. All members work in classrooms and school boards and on university campuses all across Ontario every single day, shaping the futures of countless students in this province. And I'm here to talk today about students' future. And what this guy Doug Ford is doing to those futures. And let me be clear, the choices being made by this government are making those futures harder. Doug Ford is making all of our collective future weaker and not stronger. We are here today because of Ford's cuts to OSAP. But when we talk about OSAP, we're not talking about some line item in a budget in the government. We're talking about whether or not a student in a high school today can say yes to university acceptance. We are talking about whether or not a student attending a college can say yes to another semester. We are talking about whether a family can be proud of their child accepting and going on and studying at university. We're talking about students balancing work, responsibilities to other folks in their family and their community, and the pressures of school. We are talking about you getting an education to build your future. I want to be clear here, your future is our future. It is all of Ontario's future. OSAP is not a luxury. OSAP is not an extra. OSAP is a lifeline. And when that lifeline gets cut, all of Ontario is made weaker. My union members see the consequences immediately in the schools where they work. They see students taking on multiple jobs just to stay afloat and sometimes to help their families pay bills even when they're in high school. We hear about OSAP cuts, when students hear about OSAP cuts, we see exhaustion in their faces. We see potential dimmed. And you know what, comrades? We see dreams stolen. So while Doug Ford and his government sit in Queen's Park talking about austerity budgets and tax cuts for their corporate pals, to do more with less, again and again. In our public schools, it's larger classes, fewer supports, reduced funding, and now, while our colleges and universities face a crisis of program closures and underfunding, on top of that, Doug Ford wants fewer students to be able to afford post-secondary education. And all of that, comrades, while corporate profits in Canada rose to a record $677 billion in 2020. And while wealth inequality in the province of Ontario is greater now than it has ever been in our history. So who will these OSAP cuts benefit? The rich! Who will they hurt? Well, we know that. It's the people standing right here today. These cuts are an attack on regular Ontarians when they already struggle with rent that is unaffordable.
making a living is getting harder every damn day. So we're told that these cuts are necessary. We're told to be patient. We're told that this is about efficiency, responsibility, fairness. But there is nothing efficient about a system that places barriers in front of those who are trying to succeed, people like you, and a system which instead privileges those who already have enough. There is nothing responsible about asking some students to carry more debt, more uncertainty, simply to access the education that you have worked hard to earn. Not acceptable. All the while a growing class of elites in Ontario hoard advantages to themselves. There is nothing fair about building an education system that works only for the wealthiest in our province, while the rest of us watch opportunity slip away. So I want to be clear about something else here, comrades. I'm not just talking about students in college and university. Colin represents people working in high school. So we're talking about students in our high school. That's right, give a shout out there, Samir. Hey, before I go on about this, I want to point out, you might have been catching this in the news, our high school students are actually themselves organizing around this question. And I just want to say to the Premier, I think that's education. But my union's members work with students in our high schools who are applying for post-secondary right now. As we look on, those students are already working hard, pushing themselves to graduate. They're staying after class to ask questions, to do as well as they can. They're in clubs, they're on sports teams, they're busting their asses to build opportunity for themselves. They are learning. And you know why? Not just for themselves. For their families, for their communities, for their parents, for their grandparents, for everyone in Ontario. And they deserve a system with full. And now these students are asking themselves, can I afford to go on? No student in Ontario should have to ask themselves that question. So, OSSTF, the Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation, stands with you here today. We stand beside every high school student. We stand beside every college and university student. And we stand beside the families that you are here to do proud by, and for the province of Ontario that you want to make better, more prosperous, more successful, and more educated. So I'm going to say enough. And when I say enough, I want you to say enough. So enough? Enough of decisions that make education less accessible. Enough! Enough of cynical policies that ignore the real lives of students and working people. Enough! Enough of an Ontario with less opportunity instead of more. So today we stand here with the Canadian Federation of Students and with every one of you who's demanding better and demanding what is fair. And we join you because your fight is our fight. At the end of the day, This is a simple choice. It's a choice between a system that opens doors or one that quietly closes them. This is a choice between opportunity or despair, stress. This is a choice between investing in you, investing in people, investing in students, or turning your back on you. Pretty damn clear. Thank you. We will fight with you, and we will fight together as educators, as students, as communities, until this government makes the right damn choice. So I want you to chant with me. For the same reason that I asked you to shake a hand with somebody that you didn't come here with, I want you to chant with me.
What this makes clear is that when one part of the education system is weakened, the effects ripple all across it. So when we talk about defending public education, that means defending it at every single level.
Organizing around something we have already been watching as it continues playing out in real time. The expansion of policing into educational spaces. When governments choose repression over investment, policing becomes the response to political dissent. Policing free schools is part of a growing movement working to remove police and carceral systems from our campuses and communities. Please join me in welcoming Andrea from Policing Free Schools.
Solidarity with the Canadian Federation of Students of Ontario, one of our Ontario provincial and national campaign partners, and here in solidarity with each and every one of you. Across all education levels, what we continue to see is chronically underfunded education systems. And what we need are properly funded, supported, and resourced education systems, something that we have not had under this Ford government or even previously under the Liberals. We know that the Ford government is choosing to create distraction and is depending on these manufactured distractions and hope of distracting each and every one of us from the government's multiple scandals. You name it. Greenbelt, Thermostat, Ontario Place, Skills Development Slush Fund, legal costs for lawsuit losses, misspent expenses, undemocratic changes to Ontario's election rules. These scandals, to name a few, and corruption is how the government continues to waste taxpayer dollars, including yours, billions of dollars, which very much could have been charged fully funded and free post-secondary education. Shame! We know that the worsened conditions and the further destabilization of our communities and education systems is not simply a senseless act. It is their necessary coordinated move in the Ford government's agenda. Continuously attacks and assaults students and workers and rather favors the ultra-rich and wealthy and his insiders and moves towards privatization, including at all levels of education. Shame! It's already hard enough to get access to post-secondary education as it is, and made increasingly harder due to recent Bill 33 legislative changes as an expansion of the already defeated Student Choice Initiative, impacting post-secondary and impacting K-12 schools, including expediting the takeover of school boards and mandating policing in schools. Which I may add, research is clear that policing in schools has harmful impacts on students, including on student achievement, educational outcomes, and student well-being, as a result impacting graduation rates. And for those who are able to even get accepted into post-secondary programs due to these OSAP changes, won't be able to afford to get in or even finish their education. These are moves by the government that further entrenches systemic and structural barriers and creates new ones. Meanwhile, further facilitating privileged mobility for the rich and towards insiders and crushing down on the poor and working class. These are partial education policies anchored in containment, control, coercion, and harm. This government is working on engineering a singular reality of decreased opportunities and limiting the possibilities and futures for many, including students and the working class. These not evidence-based, fiscally irresponsible and harmful patterns of behavior and practices of the government are weaved through the reality that all of this is happening. Meanwhile, Ontario is expanding daily through several infrastructure projects towards an Ontario prison expansion. Further funneling money into policing and carceral measures and taking money away from education and the well-being of students, educators, and communities. This government chooses to systematically set up students, to have students increasingly fail in the chronically underfunded education system, deliberately wrenching people out of post-secondary. The decimation. We see the decimation of community-based support and increased presence of policing and carceral measures and pushing more people towards being warehoused to fill up this government's new construction of more prison beds, ultimately further entrenching the school prison nexus. This government already knows that police, with their over-ballooned police budget, will manipulate through provincial grant funding or agents of policing such as special constables or the supposed police officers or security personnel through dedicated funding on campus, that policing presence, invoking fear, and a massive violence and brutality will be there in attempts to suppress and combat student movements and resistance. What they continuously attempt to erase and what they don't like to admit is that when we collectively, as students, workers, and community fight, we collectively win. Education is a right.
This all happened on March 4th was not an anomaly. It was part of a broader pattern. When students organize, the response is not to address the demands, it is instead to attempt to control and silence the students that are organizing. And this is exactly why this work is so critical, why we keep on coming back, and why we will keep on coming back till we get what we demand. Our next speaker represents a group that has been on the front lines of fighting exploitation, particularly of international students and workers. Because let's be clear, international students are being treated as a revenue stream through skyrocketing tuition and facing systemic barriers. All the while, they are being actively excluded from from actual meaningful support that the government is already making massive cuts to. Shame! And that is not just accidental, it is by design. Please join me in welcoming our speaker from Najuan Support Network.
Thank you, everyone. My name is Nabdoot, and I am part of OSAP Protest Network. I am joining in solidarity as a worker and as a student.
This is not our family.
All of you organizing at every level and showing up because
We don't want to learn this anymore.
that this government is going to today in solidarity because we understand this is not international versus domestic. This is against the broken system which is primarily built on our exploitation. Sometimes it's international students, other times you guys domestic students, but this is always one of us. You might have seen a few weeks ago international students were protesting right here at this place. And today it is domestic students. This is not a coincidence. This is by design. This is by the design of this broken system which has been designed on the exploitation of international students and domestic students for many, many years. Something which was building from decades. Universities and colleges were chronically underfunded, and how those funding is covered by international students who are paying 5 times or sometimes more than 5 times. International students are coming to Canada, the burden is shifting to students because government is not going to fund this institution, government is not going to fund the university, so who is going to pay you guys? It's always and guess what? Despite contributing to this problem and paying for the underfunding of the universities and colleges, what international students have been doing? Scapegoating. The invisible and long depression that many of them are not going to come out of. Many international students standing behind me today because we are invisible when it comes about the rights. When it comes about speaking against all the unfair policies that this government is bringing on their feet. So they are invisible, although they are visible on all those places, they are visible on everywhere. But when it comes to speaking out against everything that is happening to them, they don't have any rights there. But I am standing in solidarity today, all of you, because we understand that this government is built on one of us, exploiting you guys or exploiting us. So it's not about
it's actual nuts.
It is a fight.
And not the smarties.
Things are happening to the rest of
Sweet Sally Trailway.
and doing another round of promotion and another round of more publishers, new programs and recruitment.
comes to Canada organically. It was brought to Canada through a system of lots of marketing and recruitment process. And
Sorry.
Canada, the USA is directly working with marketing and it is not going to stop you. I think you don't organize, you don't stand up.
Now I'm going to be called nuts.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much for those remarks. What we're being reminded of is that exploitation is built into the system, and international students are often the first to feel it. But we know that they're not the only ones, because a system that exploits some students will eventually fail all students. And that is exactly why this fight must include all of us. Our final speaker for today reminds us that this fight is also about the future and who governments are deciding should have one. Change Course is a youth-led organization working on climate justice and indigenous sovereignty, because the same systems that underfund education are the ones investing in industries that harm our planet, and students are refusing to accept that trade-off. Please join me in welcoming Danny from Change Course.
Look around! You see a few $1,000s in fencing and some very cautionary measures around some very special statues. Ford thought he could scare us by putting up this fencing, that he could intimidate students, that he could stop us by pushing us back about 10 feet. It didn't work! Chose to spend less money, this taxpayer dollars, to protect these statues. It is because they are afraid of us. Culture, humanities students, whether they are scapegoating international students or workers, this government's approach is to divide and conquer. But this rally has shown that students and workers on campuses across this province are united. We go to university to study, to prepare for our futures, so that we can do all kinds of important work and serve our communities. And this government has a fundamental misunderstanding of how it should invest in our future. Instead of investing in public education, which is a treasured public institution that allows us all the access to study, to work, to contribute, they have chosen to line the pockets of those who already have a huge concentration of wealth. They have chosen somehow this government has no money when it comes to funding healthcare, when it comes to funding education, when it comes to taking bold climate action. All the money in the world for lining the pockets of Doug Ford's corporate money, for privatizing our public institutions, for criminalizing student dissent and protest, for filling our schools with cops. Shame! So afraid of us is because they know that from the Vietnam War protests to Tibet student protests to recent encampments for Palestine, students have immense political power. Students are organized alongside workers when international students and domestic students, when rural students and students in urban centers, when professors and service workers and workers on colleges and university campuses are united in demanding hands off our education, we will win. Thousands of us gathered here. This government, many of us were here and we came back and we all brought friends. And this government shut us down with a little bit of fencing. But we are only getting started. This rally is just the beginning of the organizing that absolutely needs to happen in this province. This movement will continue to grow and will continue to demand reverse the cuts to OSAP, bring back our tuition freeze, and take it further. We want free education.
Keep their heads off our education! Today, we know that Queen's Park is back in session. The very decision makers who have made decisions on our conditions are back in session, and we need to continue bringing the pressure up. We know that students all across the province are here because we are frustrated, because we are angry, because we are fed up with Doug Ford and Nolan Quinn's decision on education right now. So as we're about to wrap up, understand one thing clearly: a rally is not the end of our fight. It is only the beginning. After this rally, we need to keep putting the pressure up. We need to keep organizing on our campuses, keep organizing in our communities, keep bringing people in, because the very fate in the hands of the people right behind us. Getting to the end of this rally, thank you all so much for showing up to demand that this government keep their hands off our education. And of course, a shout out to our marshals, our medics, our volunteers who ensure. So, as folks disperse back to their respective places, please ensure that you're doing so in pairs, because at the end of the day, it is us. We keep each other safe. And with that being said, we are now at the end of the rally, but we're going to keep demanding